All right, I want to talk in this video about the differences between men and women when it comes to sex. And when I'm talking about this, speaking in generalities. There will be exceptions. However, in general, we do know that men are more socio-sexual, which means that they want sex more often than women do, and they crave more variety than women do. And of course, naturally, there will be exceptions. But one example we can see is that in a fantasy session a man is having with himself, he's likely to have 4 different scenarios or sexual partners in his fantasy, while a woman is likely to have only one. We also know that men love to watch porn, many different kinds of women, different kinds of porn, whereas for women, their preferred erotic material is the romance novel with one hero, okay? And we also know that in long-term relationships, a woman will lose her sexual desire for the man. After the newness has worn off, she will not want as much sex with him as she did in the beginning, and the man will still want more sex. In a long-term relationship, we do know that men will want more sex in general, and women will not want it as much, especially after she's had children. Although there are women who want more sex than the husband does, if the husband is very leaning towards the asexual side. So those are just some examples, but it also comes out in the way that how men and women treat sex differently, and that's what this video is going to be about. How men and women are different when it comes to sex, because for a man, sex has a large physical component, and he can compartmentalize sex. Men can compartmentalize sex. They can have sex with the woman they don't like. They can have sex with the woman they're mad at. They can have sex as a way to get their sexual needs met while they're still in love with the wife, while they're still forming a romantic bond with another woman. So a man can be in love with his wife or starting to form a romantic attachment with a woman that he's not quite sexual with. So he's not having sexual access to this romantic bond he's forming with this woman, but he's very interested in talking about her. You know, he has feelings about her. The feelings are building. Or he's in love with his wife, but he's not getting sex from either one because the relationship isn't at that level and the wife is no longer interested. And so even though this man's emotional home is with this other woman, he can still have sex with this woman over here and be very sensual with her and be very affectionate with her. Because when I say it's a physical act, it doesn't mean that he's just plowing through her. Okay, that's possible too. I'll get into that in a moment. But however he is sexually, he will be that way with this other woman. Then he feels satisfied and he'll go back to this regular life. I've never heard of a woman doing that. Typically for a woman, if she's in a relationship with a man, that if she's emotionally bonded to a man or to a potential suitor, she's not going to go have sex with some other guy just to get her needs met. I've never heard of that. I have never heard of that. I have heard of women who are in a relationship, they're very angry with the guy, or they're almost trying to leave him, or they're retaliating because he cheated, so I'm going to cheat. But I've never heard of a woman saying, I really love my husband, you know, I'll never leave him. He's such a great guy, but I have sexual needs I have to get met. I'm sure it's possible, but it's probably not as likely as men doing it. And that's why another reason that men are less likely to file for divorce if they're sexually dissatisfied in the marriage, because they can go get their sexual needs met elsewhere, and then they will just go back into their relationship, and they have no problem doing that. So men will often have sex with other women or have an affair as a way to stay in the relationship. Okay. A man is also capable of having sex with a woman he's really not that into. For example, he might want to have sex with this particular woman that he finds very attractive, but he can't get access to her and he's horny. So he'll have sex with a woman who's really like a 4 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, someone he would never date. And he will have sex with a woman he just respects. He's like, she's so skanky, I would never date her, but she's good for a hookup. Now, I don't know if women talk that way about men. Like, the women I know, I don't know women like that. I'm just talking about my own life, okay? Like, I tend to run in a very more typical woman type of circles of women. I don't know. Just a disclaimer, I don't run around with women who cheat or who sleep around. I'm more like a typical woman. And I think that the men who do these behaviors are typical men, you know? A man can also have sex with his wife. Even though the sex isn't very good, he'll still want it because it is sex. And he can have sex with his wife even if he's mad at her. But if the woman doesn't like the sex, she might agree to it, but she's not going to ask for it. She's not going to ask for the sex that's bad because she's so horny. She's probably going to go, I don't really want it. And if she's mad at him, she's not going to want it. But for the man, the physical act of it, he can override the dysfunction in the relationship, the poor quality of the sex, because he has more of that physical need to release. And so the point is that the man can get pleasure from the physical act of the sex a lot more than the woman can. So he's more willing to put up with a woman he doesn't like, a woman he's mad at, a woman he's not that attracted to, or to have it when he has no feelings for the woman at all. Whereas for a woman, the pleasure from sex comes more from not just the emotional connection, but the kind of man he is. Like, is he dominant? Is he strong? Does she respect him? Does she desire him? More of the inner qualities of the man. It's not just, here's a physical being for me. It's not like, I just need this penis right now. Okay? It's more like, what's attached to it? What kind of man is he? Is he a man I can respect or that I would want to date? So we take in like a lot more of the person. I'll take in a lot more of the man. So those are really, really big differences. Now, what I will say when it comes to the physical act of sex, men do have a range. Now, I don't know about women because I haven't had that much sex with women. I'm sure there are women who are avoidant, and I can't speak to that, but I'm going to speak to the men. When I say that men can derive pleasure from the physical act of sex, I think they also derive pleasure from seeing the woman, the beauty of the woman, the curves of the woman. Like, there's some awe-inspiring beauty that they get out of being with a woman. That's not the same as them just satisfying themselves. It's kind of like a beautiful sunset or bubbling brook, like the sound she makes and her beauty and how she touches him and her soft skin. You know, they get something out of that. The same way that a woman gets something out of the strength and the power of a man. You know, his strength. Like, we get some kind of energetic juice out of our opposing polarity. The softness and beauty versus the strength and the dominance and the physical attractiveness. But what I really want to talk to was the men who make sex just physical. Like I said, I'm sure there are women who do it. I just don't know. I don't have experience with that. So some of you can leave that in the comments. A woman who makes sex just physical. But when a man makes sex just physical, what they will do is they will keep their eyes closed during sex. They will not want to kiss you, and they will thrust like a rabbit and be done. It'll be pretty quick, and there's no emotion that they want in it. It's just purely a physical act, like you might see rabbits. Boop, 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 boop. It might last a few seconds. It might last a minute or two. These are men who are avoidant. I'm not talking about abusive men. I'm talking about avoidant men. They're very uncomfortable with intimacy, and they are not tuning into their partner. For them, sex is a way to get a quick release. I have observed this. I have experienced this. And it's very sad to see when I observed it. I was heartbroken when I observed it as this beautiful creature. And it was a very beautiful, sensual woman. And he was just fucking her like a rabbit with his eyes closed. It just broke my heart. And she kept saying, he's so great. I love him so much. Being bonded to someone who's avoidant, you don't even see what you're not getting. And that was in the case of myself too. But I'm going to talk about myself in a members only video. By the way, I do have a members only area of the videos where I talked about my previous experience when I used to work with men in a provider capacity. That's all in the members only area, or more intimate things I share about my life are in the members only area. So I don't post as many videos in there, but they're going to be of a more like personal nature. So feel free to check that out if you want. But the men who are making it just physical, they are capable of doing that. They get off and they don't really care if the woman gets off, you know? And I do not know how common this is, but there are men like that, and they will still want the sex because they're just trying to get off. Likewise for women, they don't care if they get off. That's the opposite. There's so many times a woman will want sex with a man and enjoy the sex. She doesn't need an orgasm. And I include myself in that. There are so many times I've had sex with a man. Sometimes I was like, yeah, I definitely want to come too. But many times I was like, I don't need to come. Men don't get this. Actually, there are some men who don't care if they come either. They're like, I have a hard time coming. This was a great experience for me, especially if they get older or if they're on medications that keeps them from coming, like blood pressure medications, anti-anxiety, anti-depression, medications that help them with urinary incontinence. Those are like some different things I've been reading about. But if a woman can get pleasure out of the closeness, that pleasure is enough. Like, she doesn't really need to come. And again, that goes to maybe a man having a higher libido. And men are designed, they're supposed to, ejaculate frequently. I guess they're designed for that. So in summary, men can compartmentalize sex. They can be in love with the wife or have a romantic budding. They can have an emotional connection with the wife or a new girlfriend prospect that they're not having sex with, and they can go get sex elsewhere while still being emotionally bonded here. I could never do that. I don't know any woman who could do that. I'm really in love with my husband, but he won't fuck me, so I'm going to fuck the tennis coach. I've never heard of that. They can have sex with women they're not that attracted to just because they want sex that badly. I've never heard of a woman having sex with a guy because she's so horny. She's like, this guy's really ugly and gross, but he'll do. Men can have sex when they're mad at the wife. I do not know any woman who's going to have sex with her husband while she's mad at him. She's like, we're not doing this. He can have sex with women he doesn't like because he gets pleasure from the physical act and he can compartmentalize. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to explain it. So ladies, if a guy's having sex with you, it doesn't mean he likes you. But here's how you can tell if a guy really likes you. After he has sex with you and after he has climaxed, he asks when he can see you again. And in my experience, every boyfriend I've ever had, that's what they do. After the sex, no matter how long we waited to have it, they're like, when can I see you again? They don't, there's no post ejaculation wake up. Because when men get horny, they get into some kind of a zone. And when that zone, it's almost like they have some kind of fog. I need sex fog. And when the fog lifts, if they still want to ask you out, that's a good sign. But if they want to get away, here's another thing. After a man comes, if he needs to get up, to take a shower, go to work, check his phone, he has this need to get away, it's very likely he's an avoidant guy. This is a big indicator this guy is avoidant. But if he wants to stay and talk, if he wants to cuddle with you, he's comfortable with intimacy. This is my theory. This is my thoughts. I just thought of throwing this out there. I don't have any data. I don't have any studies. But in my experience, and I was married to an avoidant guy, and I've met many guys who are, I've met many guys over the years, talking to them, and just from my own, what I know is, my theory is that if they want to maintain a little bit of closeness, if they're unable to maintain any closeness after they come, they could be avoidant. Like, there's nothing wrong with, like, okay, I have to go check my phone, I'll be right back. But if they need to distance themselves, they could just be very avoidant. And that's something to be aware of, because avoidant people are not the best in relationships. I'm sorry to tell you, that's going to be a whole different topic. And I'm going to put that topic in my members only area, because when I talk about that, I know a lot of guys, the guys out there on the internet, they like to come after me when I talk about any kind of dissatisfaction I felt in my marriage. They want to come after me and tell me that, it's always the women. I mean, it's always the men. Women are always blaming the men. And I don't do that. Like, I like men. I'm just sharing my experiences. But when I share myself like that, I don't want to be, like, it doesn't feel good to make a video about my personal life in front of an audience of haters. You know what I mean? So certain videos I put in the members area because I feel safe. It's like, okay, now I'm making a video to an audience of people who are supportive or who are interested and who want to learn, who are going to contribute. Versus right now, when this video I'm making right now, my audience, I'm speaking right now knowing that a certain percentage of you watching are going to find this interesting. A certain percentage of you are going to like me and what I have to say. And there'll be other people who are hating me, who are going to leave nasty comments on anything I say, So it's not as, I can't go as deep. I can't be as vulnerable to an audience of anyone on the internet who are free to leave nasty comments, frankly. So that's, and I think having boundaries is healthy. So the membership is only $4.99 a month, and there are no ads there. I have YouTube ad-free. I think it's $20 a month. It's for me and my kids. We all have it. And that way, when you watch videos, you don't ever have to watch any ads. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos. But anyway, I hope you have liked my video on the differences between men and women. I got to figure out how to title this I want a lot of people to watch this. If anyone has any better ideas for the title of this video than the one I'm going to come up with, let me know and I'll change it. And thank you for watching.